Namaste. We've just been going in and out of it, so I needed to connect again. We managed to phone the housing benefits, and it hadn't changed, so that's all good. That's still the same. So housing benefits, PIP and ESA are done. They're massive triggers. We had some toast, we rested, we there's the younger ones that have been out and they're participating. That's why we're on this channel, because I would have thought this book would have been read on one of the other channels. But they said it's been read on this channel because this channel is the host body name, and the host body name is related to dissociation and separation rather than integration and wholeness, and that relates to good and bad and black and white and the duality of life, whereas we're about the polarity of life, and polarity is about integration, duality is about separation, and it's black and white and it's got good and bad on it, and good people do bad things, and so when you're a kid and you're with good people that do bad things, that gets programmed into you. And I learned that we get confused between good and bad and right and left, because right and wrong is kind of like good and bad. It's all to do with processing in the language again. We've got a honey again too. Haven't got to show you. We were going to, one of them wanted to show you it. It's from eBay from Bulgaria, so it's like non-pasteurized, non-heated, organic, and it's really good for your stomach and your digestion. So we've got a lemon and honey, which we've not had for a while. It still tastes so hot. Still a bit hot. There's just so much going on with here, which makes sense because of the collarbone. It's like this. It's all your throat and everything. So there's a lot of, and the jaw operations. There's a lot of unraveling of the scar tissue. Zendaya was behaving funny with us. So that's a reflection to us. That's one of our signs that we use, that we're going in and out, and that we need to ground. So we did all the stuff that we do to ground best we can. It doesn't work, so then we come to this. But they managed to, I don't think they managed to get a load of the videos hashtagged with grow with video, and that's what we're doing. We're growing with videos. We're growing up a younger stunted generational consciousness from the trauma. The writing and stuff just isn't happening. I think we're too sore in the wrists. So we're doing this to attempt to grow us up. We've not been able to go in to do that second YouTube thing, and I don't think we're going to either. I don't think it's relevant to us at the moment. I think we're quite a way off that. It's about making money through YouTube, and we're not about making money off YouTube at the moment. We're about healing ourselves from YouTube and using our voice and sharing our story in our unique way, which we attempted to do an about video and about sections so much for so long. And then when we had the courage to go back to the psych ward videos that they'd already done one in that. So that's the one that's posted on each of our channels. at the start. And we've done pretty well. I think we understand, like, we've watched a lot of Think Media's YouTube videos already that's got us to where we are now. And from what we understood about hashtags there is that hashtags are used how other people use them a bit, but also what you want when you use hashtags yourself is to get people to go to your channel. So hashtag grow with video is getting people, and lots of people, to go to Think Media's channel and all their type of stuff, but from different titles. But so what, when you've got your own channel, from what we understand of it anyway, we could be completely wrong. We generally do get stuff backwards and are completely wrong. But, you know, we don't know until we vocalize it and share it. And then, I don't know, the energies bring the stuff in again, the right info in. So, yeah, we were under the impression that when you use hashtags for your own videos, you're using them to get other people to get to more of your videos or your channels or something. And then you've got the bottom down, and hashtags are different to when you are in the bottom and you scroll in, put in words that you're only meant to put, like, it's the top 3, I think, generally, that YouTube's algorithms used to find videos. So that's why one's kind of meant to be quite on it with what they say, describe the video as, and like, ugh, this is the stuff we all really struggle at. So some of it we do okay and some we don't, but we've left that at the moment, so we don't go back down to the more options too much at the moment. But we do have our hashtag and our 3 channel names on each thing. We have a little disclaimer saying that we're not a physician or anything, seeing as we talk about a lot of health stuff, and that it's entertainment purposes only, and it's our personal opinions or the opinions of the author. And then we have our little bit, because we don't like asking people to subscribe and share, so we've got a little bit in there about saying about subscribing and liking, etc. And just above that we have a little brief intro about the book that we're going to read, which we normally get off Google somewhere, and then we have another bigger bit underneath the subscribing bit. And I suppose, you know, another reason why we're doing this channel is what we're doing is because we don't want to, you know, do anything wrong and like do any copyright laws or anything like that. So we don't really know if what we're doing sometimes maybe is illegal, but I know other people do it because we've watched other people when they do it. But just because other people do it doesn't mean we should do it, but people have to start somewhere. So yeah, we kind of, the 2 videos that we've done today, and not all of them, I think we only did 3 yesterday. Did we do 3 or 4? I don't know. I think we only did 3. We could have done 4. I don't know. But we only posted 2 from today and 2 from yesterday, where we did the singing the song to use our voice, which is the song that we've been singing for ages, that we started singing in the psych ward because the music and the words just really part of the healing, part of the programming of the subconscious mind, part of the finding that motivation and drive to move forward, part of that, like, staying to your dreams and your core truth. And like, we've been bar managers, supervisor roles, we've done like so many different jobs as well, and we're, you know, generally really good at organisation and stuff, or bookkeeping and accountancy, administration, although we're never good at administration. But some of the jobs that tended to fall in on a couple of them, although we would say to them, look, you know, you don't want us to be doing that, that's your job, because it'll take us a lot longer with our dyslexia. So yeah, I'm hoping that when we read this book, not all of it, we just tend to do the back and the contents and the front, we might do the introduction depending, but that way it gives people out there, they can see, they can hear what the book's like, they can see it, they can hear what's in all the contents, and then know whether they want to buy it or not. And if it is a book that we then continue to read, they get to listen to it as well, and then they actually get our sound healing and our Reiki that we do at the start to manage all the fear and the anxiety, until we come back to a sense of presence. Because what has come to us today is, like, we keep talking about the theirs, and how there's so many theirs that we've got to get to. Not that we've got to get to all of them, and it's like I never really know what all these theirs are, but I know one of the theirs is we've got to get to our now, our present. And all of this is the shifting of, because DID is like the personalities are past energetic states. So it's about healing all the trauma, or releasing the trauma that's in the residing in the connective tissue, the fascia in the body, of which we've got like loads of trauma, releasing trauma through yoga. The body keeps the store, so we've got loads of trauma books. We've got so many amazing books to get through, and hence why we just read the start, read the front, and then we get the energy from that book. And it's like a couple of people in Mind Valley that do stuff like that, so it's like known out there that you can just get the energy from the book. Lee Harris talks about that as well. And then when you read it, it's a different type of information you get rather than energetic information. And people from Mind Valley talk then about speed reading, how you read. And then when you read a book more than once, it's a different type of information that goes in again. So I suppose we're kind of describing the healing that we're getting from the books and the reading, but it's also like an English class and an English lesson. It's developing our vocabulary bases, it's developing our communication skills, it's developing how to structure sentences and put them together. It's exercise for the mouth. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. It shocks me. So yeah, I thought I'd come here and just read this quickly. But we did all the videos, not on all the pages. We just can't suss out Instagram. I don't know what it is, but we find Instagram really hard. And Instagram on the computer is completely different to Instagram on the phone. And we always go back forth. And sometimes we manage to upload a photo or a video, but the majority of the time we just can't even figure out how to post anything. The only thing we tend to be able to do is share someone else's story or something. So yeah, Instagram just baffles us completely. We're a lot better at Twitter, although I think Twitter's meant to be a bit more professional and we probably don't use it in that mannerism. But then sometimes you share links onto it or copy links and put it on, and it'll come up with the thumbnail, and other times it's just a blue line to a link rather than the pretty thumbnail, which doesn't draw people in. You've got to have the picture then and the imagery. So we kind of done Twitter. We've done Twitter better than we've done Instagram. We've got loads of wicked photos on Pinterest, but I don't know if we really use that properly either. But because we kept sharing in the wrong places, and we were sharing on Facebook to keep track of ourselves, but that was the wrong type of sharing. And then we'd share the same thing on all our different things, and that's the wrong type of sharing. So we started our visual and audio diary of everything that we kind of watch, so that when we go back through that, we can kind of, adjust it and organise it. So we've kind of gone onto that folder in our Pinterest and done a couple of those hashtags of Grow with Video and on those videos as well. And again, the journey's not there, but as I said, we printed the whole of the initial bit off. Some of it probably irrelevant and not necessary, but at least at least we've just printed off the whole thing, so we've got it when we can look through. And we took some notes the other day, but a lot of the time it's kind of not very readable and we can't understand our writing when we read it back. So we've kind of realised that it's better and we're taking more information if we just tend to watch it and not take notes at the same time with the dyslexia. And then if we watch it again, then we can take notes and we can pause it and stop it in our own time, hence getting the VIP thing. But of course we had an email saying that we hadn't done the VIP thing, but I think we've sorted that now as well, because we've logged in and found the library. But then our Google account emails all fill up, so we've got to do something with that, and that stressed us out. We did do a little tarot reading though when we were watching the other thing on Monday, and we got great cards for it, which was awesome. And then we've printed off the questions and the rules and the group guidelines, so we've got to kind of get through that. And we've printed off the timetable and put that at the top at Sean Kernel. No, it's pronounced like Kernel. So Sean Kernel, and hashtag Grow with Video. So those are the two important things. So that's good. So the younger ones have kind of started using that now. And it's got the timetable of when everything is to go through, and it's in English as well, which is good. Which is UTC. Because we knew it as something else, but universal time is English, because that confused us because it was different to what we're used to. So yeah, we're putting in the effort. It's just very different to the effort that we used to put, that I've always been programmed or used to being putting in before. But then of course it would be, because that's what happened with the seizures, and that's the point of what all of this is. Because when you reprogram the subconscious mind, you're getting to a completely different layer of the brain and the functioning of the body. Everything's been turned inside out, reversed. But it has to be reversed so that we can access the backwardness of us that we know has always been there. And if we were able to, we would document it and video it, how professionals do it, scientists doing it. But you know, if we can't even suss out the basics, this is our way of documenting it, and the rest of it while doing other things in it as well. Yeah, I'll read the book now. Good strategy. It's a really hard word to say for us as well. Bad strategy. The difference and why it matters. A business classic, Management Today, by Richard Rumelt, shortlisted for the Financial Times and Goldman Sachs. How to create and implement a powerful action-oriented strategy that gets results. Developing and implementing a strategy is the central task of any leader, whether they are CEO at a leading global company or head of a school. But there's been a growing and unfortunate tendency to equate strategy with buzzwords and financial goals. And in this business classic, Richard Rumelt debunks these elements of bad strategy and provides a solid and entertaining understanding of the power of good strategy. And see, that highly important that is, that entertaining, because one of the best ways to learn is to bring humour into a situation. And plus, you have those people out there that when they get nervous or uncomfortable or anxious, whatever, that they laugh. And then other people say, well, you shouldn't be laughing at me. That's rude and the rest of it. But if that's their natural, instinctive way to accommodate their needs to make them feel comfortable, again, you're telling someone off not to do something that actually is helping them clear bad energy in their body. Whereas why can't the people that are telling someone not to do something tell themselves not to tell someone not to do something? That's a bit of a head one, isn't it? Rumelt argues that the heart of good strategy is insight into the hidden power in a situation and into an appropriate response, whether launching a new product, fighting a war, or putting a man on the moon. Thank you, Grandma Moon. We've had our moon water too. And that's it. We keep wanting to go back to have it. We keep going like, well, let's just have a vape. We'd be able to do this if we have a wet vape. It'll relax us and sort us out. And it's like, well, but no, but that's not a fair test experiment then, is it? Because, and we want to get to that energetic state and brain wavelength state that having the weed and the vape would do on our own. And we're not going to be able to get there on our own if we keep reverting back to that. So, and there has been a couple of times, and we keep putting these compromising kits where we go, okay, if it gets to like this, then we can have it. And so far we haven't had it, so that's really good. So our next one is that we know that the energies, we don't know if it's the energies getting better for tomorrow planet-wise, because we kind of lost track a bit on that. We know it was Aquarius, we know it was Capricorn and Aquarius, no, Capricorn and Aries, and then it went to Capricorn and Sun and Aquarius. No, it was Capricorn and Aries, and then it changed from Capricorn Sun on the 19th, which is on Monday. And so this is why we're also really good for people, because the whole energetics of the global cosmos and stuff is changed into an air sign out of like Pisces, isn't it? And so it's all a lot faster in the mind. So people that aren't used to that fastness in the mind find it trickier, whereas we're kind of used to that. We've got to bring that fastness of the mind down. So yeah, so it turned into Aquarius on Monday on the Sun because it was a leap year last year. So it was Aquarius Sun and Aries Moon, and Taurus comes after Aries. So it might mean that we're on Tuesday today. No, maybe are we Tuesday today or Wednesday? No, it's Wednesday. Mercury, Magician Day. Mercury. Oh yeah, we had that one on earlier, didn't it? Yeah. So it's definitely not Aries moon anymore. It must be Taurus moon going into a Gemini moon, which means there's going to be a lot more air and a lot more duality. Hence talking about the duality probably, because this is how we've realised that when we pick up stuff and do stuff and read stuff later on, it's like, oh, well, that's because of that and that's because of that. And it normally comes from watching our tarot readers. So it was Gregory Scott, and he's lovely, he is. and he's from Glastonbury, so you get the heart chakra energy from Glastonbury tour. And we've been there a few times too, so we've made that footprint, and then we're getting the energies through him. And he's good tarot reader, and he's got lots of good tarot cards, and he had the hermetic tarot cards today. So that was really good. And so the energies, according to the card read that he did for tomorrow, because we always end up watching, he puts them out a day early, and we always watch them a day early, but that works for us because, I mean, we're born on a dark moon rather than new moon, so the fact that we do stuff a bit earlier is like kind of easier, so it keeps us on track really. And maybe we probably still are in Taurus because it's feeling really hard to shift ourselves and shift the energies, and Tauruses are bull, aren't they? And they're stubborn and blah. And also Taurus is like, so they always say to go to the opposite sign. So we're Aquarius, so Aquarius weaknesses would be able to be strengthened by looking at Leo's strengths, and Leo could strengthen their weaknesses by looking at Aquarius's. But again, that's the 180-degree angle. And we've lived our whole life not having a clue what's right, but knowing what's wrong. So just doing 180 degrees of what we know is wrong. And it's just broken us and broken us and broken us. So we've learned that, you know, with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, people use like at least 4 times more energy with that condition than the average person. And because we've lived that for so long, that's how we worked out what medication to take in the psych ward, not to hopefully get us completely locked inside. We asked what was the minimum amount they'd give to someone, and said we'd have a quarter of that. I don't know if they actually listened to what we said or not, because I know, because we also said that we wanted stuff that had a short half-life so that one didn't overlap with the other. And we also said that we wouldn't take more than one medication at once. And the nighttime one was agreement to the antihistamine. And when it came to nighttime, they went to give us 2, and we're like, no, we agreed upon 1. And then they asked us which one it was, and it was just like, well, I don't know, you're meant to have written it all down. Well, I'm struggling to keep on top of things here, otherwise I wouldn't be in the effing psych ward. But so I think they gave us the wrong one, because I think they gave us a blue one. Could have been the antihistamine, I don't know, see, because we've not got the records back yet. And we'll get them back and look at them, because we are starting to get curious to what happened in that time previous, but not yet. I know we always get a bit too curious a bit too early on, and curiosity killed the cat, you know, so we don't want none of that. So we're still just taking it bits by bit, because we've also got a feedback form that they sent us another feedback form that we hadn't sent the feedback form back yet. A reminder rather. So that, oh yeah, I didn't think we had more phone, because that's another phone call we've got to do down the line to explain why we haven't sent the feedback form back, because we can't focus on the energies of complaints. And when we give the feedback, it's got to be constructive feedback, and we need to give them our point of view of what, for having worked one side and experienced the inside of what the solutions are. And at the same time, we were hoping that we'd be able to get our paperwork, but we'd probably have to phone up different people to get the paperwork, but at least we could ask. And at least we fool whoever does the phoning. Whoever doesn't want to do the phoning, we can fool them by saying that we kill a couple of birds with one stone, but that's the bad phrase as well. We feed a couple of birds with one scone. We saw that the other day, and it's much nicer. We got sidetracked again, haven't we? Yeah, so it's pretty hard staying on top of things at the moment. But that's okay, because that's bound to be the thing, because the energies are really strong at the moment. So the reason we're doing all this now too is because the energies are so strong and on our side, that the more you do in times like this, like when you work with the astrological energies and moon signs and stuff, there's good times to do stuff and bad times to do stuff. So if you did want to start a company or a business, if you look into it, not that we can do any of that yet, but I think we just working on our intuition, and then we work back to realise that our intuition was bang on all the time. And we did all the right stuff on the right times. It just never felt like it because of all the stuff, trauma and everything that we're overcoming. Yeah, so there's kind of a lot to it, but I suppose that's why it's so daunting. So a lot of people aren't going to do it because it's so daunting and complicated. So if we actually live out all this experience and find whatever, then it's about finding the easier path that you can then share different tips with people, can't you? So they don't have to go down the same route, because I don't think many people would be able to have gone through all that we've gone through. Plus, we do like our science and our maths. We rebelled against science because our dad was a science teacher, and we still came out with two Bs, and that's being rebellious and not doing anything. So that's pretty good. And it's an A maths and an A art. This was GCSE, whereas like RE or English and the rest of it was just, I think we got E's and C's. No, I think we got 10 GCSEs above C, and then I think we got one D and an E or something. Or the E might have been in general studies at college. I don't know. And he shows, it's Man on the Moon. We got sidetracked by the moon because of that, didn't we? And he shows how this insight can be cultivated with a wide variety of tools that lead to better thinking, good strategy, bad strategy, draws on business, God, a lot of S's, non-profit and military affairs to bring Rumelt's original and pragmatic ideas to life. Yes, I mean, this non-profit, I understand the principle, but still it's not a good one. Why don't they just make the profit and put all the profit back into the business and to the charity? So rather than it being a non-for-profit, it may make a bit of profit, but the profit isn't going in people's pockets. It's going back to, you're very transparent and open about what's happening with the profit, if that makes sense. The most interesting business book of 2011, the first book on strategy that I have found difficult to put down, and that's from John Kay. I'm not reading all of them. Richard Rumelt is one of the world's most influential thinkers on strategy and management. The Economist have profiled him as one of 25 living persons who have had the most influence on management concepts and operate practice. McKinsey Quarterly described him as a strategist, and a giant in the field of strategy. Rumelt has always challenged dominant thinking. In 1972, he was the first person to uncover a statistical link between corporate strategy and profitability. We like statistics. That's the operational research and statistics mathematics degree that we started at university after we realised we didn't want to be a teacher. But we followed through on the teaching degree specialising in maths and got a 2-1, which we were very proud of. But then, yeah, they did that other one we had to just let go because it wasn't happening. But I think we talked about that somewhere else too. He received his doctoral degree from Harvard Business School and holds the Harry and Elsa Cunnin Chair at the UCLA Anderson School of Management. He is a consultant to small firms such as the Samuel Goldwyn Company and giants such as Shell International, as well as to organisations in the educational and not-for-profit worlds. Good Strategy, Bad Strategy was shortlisted for the FT and Goldman Sachs Business Book Award 2011. I'm sure there's a word for that thing that we described about the not-for-profit. Contents. Introduction. Overwhelming obstacles. Well, it's not too long because we could do with reading a bit of that. But it's way too long for us now, I think. We'll find out when we get there, won't we? Part 1. Good and Bad Strategy. Chapter 1. Good strategy is unexpected. How Steve Jobs saved Apple. Or Steve Jobs saved Apple. Business 101. They always say this 101 stuff, don't they, when they talk about stuff? Business 101 is surprising. General Schwarzkopf's strategy in Desert Storm. Why Plan A remains a surprise. Chapter 2. Discovering power. David and Goliath is a basic strategy story. Discovering Walmart's secret. Marshall and Roche's strategy for competing with the Soviet Union. Chapter 3. Bad strategy. In US national security strategy, just slogans. How to recognize fluff. Why not facing the problem creates bad strategy. Chad Logan's 2020 plan mistakes goals for strategy. What's wrong with a dog's dinner of objectives? How blue sky objectives miss the mark. Chapter 4. Why so much bad strategy? Strategy involves choice. And choice is number 1 value. Shh. Thank you for sharing that. that's what we got on the cards. Our first card out, we had 3 cards, and it was choice because we did the Dreams of Gaia tarot, and we got choice. Go on then, you can read it out. Otherwise, you might just keep butting in, won't you? So we got 0 choice, which is the major arcana. We then got 20 desire, which is the world in the traditional tarot. It's a major arcana. We then got 4 of pentacles, 4 of earth, which is a perfect foundation thing for business and money and finances. And it was within the spectrums, energies of the conscious where seen, 4 of fire, which is the passion and the drive and action. So that was good. And the subconscious unseen, the 10 of water, the 10 of cups, which is the happy family card. And it's been the wonderful things that we've been striving for within ourselves and whatever through all of this. And in our really special Sacred India of Tarot pack of cards, that's the one that's, I'm not sure if that's up on this one or not, or the Shinto channel, but that's the card, the 10 of cups, that the universe burned for us. So we don't have a 10 of cups in that pack anymore. And that was about balancing the left and right, the male and female energies, the left and right vagus nerve. And the 10 of cups in the herbal tarot is marijuana. So yeah, a lot of connections. The tarot's just been, the cards have just been amazing. And believe me, we've kept away from tarot our whole life because there's some bad childhood memories related around tarot as well. So it's not something we got into easy. Where were we? You know. Why not facing the problem creates bad strategy. Chad Logan's 2020 plan mistakes goals for strategy. What's wrong with a dog's dinner of objectives? How blue sky objectives missed the mark. Chapter 4, why so much bad strategy? Strategy involves choice, and DEC's managers can't choose. The path from charisma to transformational leadership to fill in the blanks, template, style, strategy. New thought from Emerson to today and how it makes strategy seem superficial. Is that the light bulb guy? No, that's Edmondson, I think. He stole it off Tesla, didn't he? Yeah, you know that off Gaia, didn't you? He stole a lot of Tesla. Tesla deserves a lot more recognition that he gets. I don't think he gets any. Beautiful mind, beautiful man. Chapter 5, the kernel of good strategy. The mixture of argument and action lying behind any good strategy. Diagnosing Starbucks. Wow, that's just we're not meant to do that, are we? We're not meant to do that, aren't we? We're meant to tell you what, this whole circuitry system of the body is just, it's insane. It's amazing. Thank you, body. The Soviet challenge. Oh, we start that again. Diagnosing Starbucks, K-12 schools, the Soviet challenge, and IBM. Guiding policies at Wells Fargo, IBM, and Stephanie's Market. The president of the European Business Group hesitates to act. Incoherent action at Ford. Centralization, decentralization, and Roosevelt's strategy in WW2. Wow, this is going to really connect the dots with blockchain. Chapter, Mr. Page. Part 2, sources of power. Chapter 6, using leverage. It's definitely going to sort things out there. Anticipation by Toyota and insurgents in Iraq. How Pierre Wack anticipated the oil crisis and oil prices. Pivot points at 7-Eleven and the Brandenburg Gate. Harold Williams uses concentration to make the jetty a world presence in art. Chapter 7, Proximate objectives. Why Kennedy's goal of landing on the moon was a proximate and strategic objective. Phyllis Buwalda resolves the ambiguity about the surface of the moon. A regional business school generates proximate. What is that? I've heard of approximate, but not just proximate without the A bit at the minute. Approximate is kind of like average, isn't it? Proximate objectives. So if approximate is average, then maybe it's something to do with something that's not an average, obviously. A regional business school generates proximate objectives. A helicopter pilot explains hierarchies of skills. Why what is proximate for one organisation is distant for another. I hope they explain it. We're going to have to look that up, aren't we? Chapter 8, chain link systems. Challenges O-ring and chain link systems, stuck systems and GM and underdeveloped countries. Marco Tonelli explains how to get a chain link system unstuck. IKEA shows how excellent is the flip side of being stuck. So a chain link system, if you think about chain, that's lots of links put together. And I suppose if a chain gets tangled, you can get one link stuck in another. So that's a completely different, that's more of an engineer, practical perspective. Chapter 9, using design. Hannibal defeats the Roman army in 2016 BC, using anticipation and a coordinated design of action in time and space. How a design type strategy is like a BMW. Designing the Voyager spacecraft at JPL. The trade-off between resources and tight configuration. How success leads to potent resources that, in turn, induce laxity and decline. Design shows itself as order imposed on chaos. The example of Packard's heavy truck business. We've driven one of those big trucks with loads of scaffolding on the back. So we pulled into the place that we were driving it all to up in like the mountains in South Australia somewhere. They're all pretty shocked. We love big stuff like that, don't we? Chapter 10, focus. A class struggles to identify crown, cork and seal strategy. Working back from policies to strategy. The particular pattern of policy and segmentation, called focus. Why the strategy worked. So it's really good when we have those buttons and that sharing of those memories, because that's releasing the memory from the body through voice and sound when we get triggered, rather than not being able to use our voice and sound and it coming out as physical pain. Hence why we do this also, because it minimizes the physical pain that we have to deal with, and we're dealing with a lot. So yeah, that's another great one. Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm understanding more and more. I know I don't like it, but you'll make me understand it more, I know. Oh, in the most gentle, compassionate way. Yeah, we read that one. Chapter 11, growth. The all-out pursuit of size almost sinks crown. A noxious advisor at Telecom Italia. Healthy growth. Yes, please. Chapter 12, using advantage. Advantage in Afghanistan and in business. Stuart and Linda's Resnick's serial entrepreneurship. What makes a business interesting? The puzzle of the silver machine. Why you cannot get richer by simply owning a competitive advantage. Okay, so that's what we had a smoothie earlier. We had a banana, like kind of, you know, when they've gone really brown and yucky. We hate taking them apart. With black grapes, our nut mix that's all been roasted, and pine nuts that's there ready to make the pesto with the salad leaves. Hopefully they won't go off again. I think they've been there since Christmas. Our colloidal silver, our colloidal gold, our aloe vera, because that's good for detoxifying the liver. Liver holds the emotions of anger, frustration, also the opposing ones of forgiveness. Oh, more releases in our toes, that's great. We didn't have any coconut water left, and we weren't allowed to buy any because of the whole money situation. The only thing we've been allowed to buy is the honey and the Tutti Frutti toothpaste. I think we're going to have to change the laptop to back down there again. Okay. So we used water. I think we used our moon water actually, because we haven't been on it with our we've got our moon water up there, but we've also got other water that we filter through, and we generally have all our water purified by shungite, which is shungites from Russia, and powdered coconut milk. So you're still kind of getting the dairiness and the creaminess, but not from animal products. And colloidal gold is excellent for pain and inflammation, whereas colloidal silver is great for infection and other stuff. I want us to look into, once we get a bit of spare money for it, see if colloidal copper exists, because the guys seem to think that our copper mineral is really good for the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which therefore it makes sense for us to take colloidal copper internally, as well as the minerals. I don't quite know what's different to a colloidal mix to a mineral. Probably to do with particle size, I'm guessing. What bricklaying teaches us about, but you don't really get minerals and gold and silver in liquid form, do you? What bricklaying teaches us about deepening advantage, broadening the Disney brand, the red tide of pomegranate juice, oil fields, isolating mechanisms, and being a moving target. Clay pigeons! We haven't done that, have we? We want to do that too. We do like shooting guns. We've shot an AK-47. Not at anything or anyone. We don't believe in that. It's really hard on the AK-47 as well. We couldn't do it on automatic. The body couldn't handle it. But when it wasn't on automatic, we got best target. We always get better target. We're really good at our aim. We did better than all the boys. It's always been the thing, isn't it? I suppose we grew up with boys and we always had an older brother to compete with. Using chapter 13, using dynamics. Capturing the high ground by riding a wave of change. Well, we're getting really good at that. And we had a massive surf so much, but I don't know how we managed to stay surfing heaps, because we're so shit at it and we could never get wet waves because we never had any core balance. But we did go out to Morocco one. I think we've had like 2 waves, and we had this real good one in Morocco, and this guy did see it. And I remember the drop, because we hate that drop feeling. The stomach just goes. It's like the dreams that we end up being jolted out of with the falling feeling. Hence why we did the highest bungee jump in Queenstown as well, to always face our fears. But in Morocco where it was a really long wave. So once you're up and once you manage the drop and you got that wave and you're on like a big foam board, oh my god, it is the most amazing feeling. And now we're riding these waves of in and out of these different states of consciousness and everything. So yeah, we are very good at, one thing is the only constant is change, is another one of our sayings. Jean Bernard Levy opened my eyes to tectonic shifts. And that's then the psychiatrist that let us out of the psych ward when we described to him what was happening in the best of our limited communication. He said to us, sounds like you're describing in the body how the planet is with tectonic plate movement. And we knew about that because we're a little bit from geography, but also because New Zealand's one of the places that has most of the tectonic plate movements. And I think countries that are most alive like that, when they do have, when stuff does happen, they're not going to, with the environment and the land, those places are meant to be kind of safer to live, because I think, or something, I've heard this somewhere, because somewhere that doesn't have movement much breaks a lot more, whereas somewhere that's constantly kind of moving and breaking, it's used to it more, so shit doesn't hit the fan as much. The microprocessor changes everything. Why software is king and the rise of Cisco systems. How Cisco, that's C-I-S-C-O, so it could be Cisco, rode 3 interlinked waves of change. Guidepost to strategy in transitions, attractor states, and the future of the New York Times. When we did initially have the seizures and we were just in bed and couldn't do much, we did hell of a lot of watching of stuff, but it was all really healthy material, like TED Talks, Gaia TV, real good stuff to watch. And watching what they had on the new visual format of statistics and how it's produced was just it was mesmerizing. It was so good. Because we've never really been good with spider diagrams or organization and getting stuff out of a head. All of ours is kind of self-taught, and obviously it's self-taught in a very chaotic way, but a way that functions and works obviously for us. Chapter 14, inertia and entropy. And the bookkeeping was great because, I mean, when we went self-employed as a bookkeeper, we did it for this lovely lady. And she had a great system in place, which then, that's one of the first systems we actually really got to see externally. And then we applied that to ours, which meant we had a really good system to start with that wasn't like our own because we got it from someone else. Chapter 14, inertia and entropy. And plus it was Sage bookkeeping software, which is a really good one too. The smothering, mind you, we did start Zero, which is a new Kiwi-based one. Kiwis are fab so much. I mean, that was good too. The smothering effect of obsolete. Routine at Continental Airlines. Oh, QuickBooks was terrible though. Inertia. Well, it's good. We're getting our accountancy stuff coming up. Inertia at AT&T. It's the inertia at AT&T and the process of renewal. Inertia by proxy at PSFS. And the DSL business. Applying hump charts to reveal entropy and Denton's. Entropy at GM. Chapter 15, putting it together. NVIDIA jumps from nowhere to dominance by riding a wave of change using a design type strategy. How a game called Quake derailed the unexpected march of 3D graphics. NVIDIA's first product fails and it devises a new strategy. How a faster release cycle made a difference. Why a powerful buyer like Dow can sometimes be an advantage. Intel fails twice in 3D graphics and SGI goes bankrupt. Part 3, thinking like a strategist. Chapter 16, the science of strategy. Oh! Hughes engineers, our brothers are civil chartered engineer as well. So, we love drawing. It took us just as long to plan out the one that we built, self-converted. It took us like 3 months drawing on graph paper, stuff into the van, sitting there trying to organise it when we've got no internal visual concept or anything. We always have to do something and see it to know how it's going to turn out. Drawing, we sillily put is it plywood on the floor? Not plywood, plywood's thinner, isn't it? What's the other stuff called? It's quite heavy and thicker. Put it on the floor. We didn't need it because we had the polystyrene for insulation on the floor. You get cold really easy and hot really easy. Our internal thermostat doesn't work very well. And then we put this, not plywood, hardboard? I don't know. It kind of links into each other as well. It's not tongue and groove. When, just a bit of 4mm 4x4 plywood would have been fine on the floor and it would have made it a lot lighter. I would draw out with chalk on it, the outlines and everything. So, yeah. Chapter 16, the science of strategy. Use engineers to guess at strategies. Deduct is enough only if you already know everything worth knowing. Galileo, heresy trial triggers the Enlightenment. Galileo, Mama, that's the Queen song, isn't it? Just killed a man. Yeah, like that one. Hypothesis, anomalies, and Italian espresso bars. Why Americans drank coffee. How we used to as well. We could do really good artwork on the top of that too. We got taught someone that's really good. We first got taught by making coffees by a gay guy in Mount Maunganui in just above Taronga, North Island, New Zealand. And there's certain people, if you get taught by certain people that are perfectionists, whatever you do is never going to be good enough, which means you become really good. Plus we used to be a bit of a perfectionist ourselves. And then the person that taught us the coffee art was also really good. Probably, similar stuff. Yeah. Oh, this is fab. Why Americans drank weak coffee. Howard Skulch as a scientist, learning and vertical integration. It's our vertical integration that we need, because to get long, you need to get wide. But I think we've been going wide too much. And now we need to work on getting our length, which is why we find our L's hard as well. Webinars and all kinds of things and all kinds of stuff, so we know how to do things and where it's meant to go, but it's all theoretical and it's a whole different story learning something in theory wise and then applying it into the body. But I suppose that's again to do with the tension and the slack in the body. of the way the fascia works. Chapter 17, using your head. A baffling comment is resolved 15 years later. Frederick Taylor tells Andrew Carnegie to make a list. We used to live off lists, off lists, off lists. Hence why what we're doing now is we can't cope with that way of living anymore. So what we're doing now is tapping into the intuition, because when you live from your intuition, you do stuff in the moment, and it's exactly what needs to be done in that moment for the highest good of all, if you're connected to your intuition and your body in a healthy manner, if your intuition's functioning in a healthy manner. Another reason why we're getting so on top of our diet, to eliminate pain, to detoxify the body, but also to get all of our intuition functioning properly, so that we know we can just like think and act on our feet in the moment without having to do all this planning and the rest of it, because we just don't have energy for it anymore. So it's getting away from that whole training and programming from the academic side of things and point of view, going into heart-based living, I suppose, would be the terminology to phrase that. I can feel ourselves getting older, which is good, because that means that then we can watch this other video and then we can go and do the time codes on the videos that we've already done, because there tends to be a hell of a lot of long stuff like this, whereas if it's time code, you can actually say, look, all time coded, you can just go to the book readings and you don't have to listen to all of our blooming blurbs, but we need to do this to get that out to heal us, but here's the bit that can help you, and you don't have to be put through all of that. Plus it looks more professional. We do look like it looking professional. Not that you would maybe guess that, but hence why we wouldn't normally do anything like this, because we're such perfectionists. So you're not going to do it and get it out there if it doesn't look perfect and professional. But how can it look perfect and professional if you can't even use social media and can't even do a lot of other stuff? Hence why the seizures, I suppose, needed to happen, to show we had DID, to make all this happen, to get us practicing all this stuff, to grow up the younger generational consciousness. And come back to book, focus. Suck off. Well, that's not a good one to say backwards, is it? Oh, my collarbone, and that loves it though. Oh, I feel all those bones going back in. Oh, that's a lot much better of a slotting things back into place feeling. Thank you. See, the body does tell you when you're getting things right. Well, see, you've got to get rid of these words. Make our own dictionary. Okay, chapter 17, using your head. Yeah, see, that's the problem. That it says using your head, and that's what we're doing. We're using our head. And we only just said to ourselves earlier in the kitchen, we got to stop using our head and stop thinking so much and just, do it from the body, let the body lead. But I suppose that's what we're doing, and this is the process of what we're doing. And the best way to learn from other people and see their perspective is to find out, well, how did you get to that? What was your process? And if they don't know what their process is, they can't tell you. And we couldn't tell you, but we can show you what our process is, and that's what we're doing. Oh, the clarity! Woohoo! Okay, keep it calm, guys. Keep it calm. Yeah, my left leg's starting to twitch and spasm now. Shh. Shh. A baffling comment is resolved 15 years later. Frederick Taylor tells Andrew Carnegie to make a list. Being strategic largely means being less myopic than your undeliberative self. Plus, when you're doing it with a book, you don't upset anyone, do you? Whereas if you're constantly asking questions to people, all this stuff keeps happening when you're with people, they can't handle it. Ah, it's another release. Thank you. Being strategic largely means being less myopic than your undeliberative self. Deliberative. We know what deliberate is, so undeliberative. TiVo and quick closure. Thinking about thinking. Using mind tools. The Kernel, problem solution, create, destroy, and the panel of experts. Chapter 18, keeping your head. Can one be independent without being eccentric? Excuse me. Can one be independent without being eccentric? Doubting without being a curmudgeon. Global Crossing builds a transatlantic cable. Build it for $1.50, $1.5, and sell it for $8. The worst industry structure imaginable. Kurt Gödel and stock prices. Why the 2008 financial crisis was almost certain to occur. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Why did the government keep... Oh, it's just... Oh, no, don't go there. Don't go there. The parallels among 2008, the Johnston flood, the Hindenburg, the Hurricane Katrina aftermath, and the Gulf oil spill. How the inside view and social herding blinded people to the coming financial storm, the common cause of the panics and depression of 1819, 1837, 1873, 1893, and 2008. Notes, acknowledgements, and index. And we're not going to read it now, guys. I know you want to. God, this is tying in so much. I mean, when we had an article written about us from after we deployed to the Philippines after the storm. When we were in the psych ward, it was all about the Storm Kira, and the coronavirus started when we were in there as well. And then us like doing all our questioning. There's little ones creating great stories, us then having to question each of the stories they created to work out what was the truth. What was the truth? And honesty. Truth's objective, honesty subjective. Hence the 4 agreements: be impeccable with your word, don't make assumptions and question everything, even yourself. Don't take anything personally, and always do your best, knowing that your best isn't always going to be the same. And then there's something that popped up on Facebook one time saying, Neve is the storm. And it's like, what with us triggering everyone and being all this and the chaos and everything, it's just like, yeah, we do feel a bit like the storm. And now we feel like the eye of the storm, the calm within the chaos. And Lee Harris's latest song for Rebirth is the eye of the storm. We're getting there. Which there are we getting to this time? Integration and nowness. Our isness. Namaste. Whew.